Welcome to the DFS Sweatshop. I'm your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Here to break down an 8-game slate for Saturday night with you. Do a quick recap on that. It was actually 7 games that were in play if you were on DraftKings. If you play FanDuel as well, you had the luxury of the total 8-game slate where you could get Westbrook, and you could have definitely taken advantage of Karl Anthony Towns having a good game. But we're going to get into that in just a moment. You know what I normally do, the format of the show. We're going to start with my best lineup of the night. This is going to be a DraftKings lineup. And then we're going to get into the who's that scoring on them points over there? Player of the night. Then we're going to get into the heat check play tonight, the guy who went absolutely the fuck off. And then we're going to get to that one motherfucker. We're gonna when you have a fire line and it's fire all the way down until you get to that one spot, and it's that one motherfucking snowflake that totally keeps us out of the 300 club and sometimes cost us tons of cash. What we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about that guy. We're gonna berate that guy. We're gonna remember him for tonight. But then we're going to put that to the side because we may be able to use him later at some point. So let's go ahead and get into my best line of the night. Now, every day I send out a tweet of my core 4 players. These are the 4 guys that I start every lineup with. No matter what contest I enter it in, I started with these 4 guys. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all 4 of these guys are going to be in every lineup, but this is just where I start because this is where my research has taken me. I take into account the point totals, the matchups, the eye test, what I've seen from the particular players, just everything that we take into consideration when we're playing daily fantasy sports. And I developed this core of players, and I can tell you the reason why I did this is because you listen to all of the different podcasts and the Roto Grinders and the Fantasy Labs and the Roto Curves, all of these great sites for information. All of these guys are very knowledgeable, and they throw out so many different names at us that you get taken off of the guys that you liked because you listen to so much information, right? And what I was doing was I was entering so many different lineups, not entries. It doesn't matter how many entries you have, but the different lineups that most times I would end up losing because I had so many different players playing that they all canceled each other out, and either I broke even or I lost a little bit. I never really made money until I developed my own strategy, my own formula that I call my core 4 system, where I start with the 4 guys I like. I then listen to all the podcasts. All I'm listening to the podcast for is to see who everybody else is going to take the bait and be on. And if I like 2 of those guys, I'm going to roster them so I can stay with the field. So I can stay with everybody who listens to all the podcasts and I like these 2 guys. I stay on them. And then for the last 2 guys, because we know DraftKings has 8 spots. So I've got the 4 that I came up with, the 2 that the industry has given me, and then I find 2 value plays that the league gives me due to injuries, missed games, suspensions, things like that, right? So let's go ahead and get into this. The first lineup. This was my best lineup. I believe it finished at about 287 DraftKings points. We started it out with James Harden. He was the chalk, 2 chalk plays, 2 industry plays. He was the chalk. He went out, had a really great game, and he had 9 rebounds, 4 3-pointers, 12 assists, 3 steals, 6 turnovers, 30 points, and a double-double in a loss. And he finished with 65.75 DraftKings points. The next guy is Eric Gordon, his teammate. Now, I'm a large proponent of stacks. So if I think that a guy's going to play well, which I had a great idea, like most of us did, that James Harden was going to play well, I thought his teammate would benefit from some of that great play, but he did not. Eric Gordon didn't have a really good game. He finished with 19.5 DraftKings points. Now, I liked Aaron Gordon all day. He was definitely a part of my initial core 4 thinking. I had him in some lineups. John Lure, well, he finished with 23 DraftKings points solid. John Lure had a spectacular game at his low price point. He finished with 27.75 DraftKings points. Andre Drummond was another industry play, another guy who a lot of folks were on, who I thought was going to be high owned. So I had him. He had a monster game, 53 DraftKings points. Thomas Saransky was the value play that opened up because we knew John Wall was going to be resting. So I started Saransky, a guy that I really liked on the low, that I didn't think a lot of guys were going to be on a value play because we know that Rodney Stuckey is out, was CJ Miles. And CJ Miles had an awesome game, 28.5 DraftKings points. And Paul Millsap was a guy that I was on previously but hadn't played well, didn't think his ownership was going to be high. So I took a flyer on Paul Millsap against the Houston Rockets in that up-tempo, high-scoring, the highest total on the slate game, actually. And he finished with 53.25 DraftKings points. And this lineup was 287.25 DraftKings points. And I can show you where I had it in. This lineup pretty much saved my night. Well, this and my single entry lineup, because I am not a cash game player. I do not play cash games. The grind from that is too long, and there's no huge payoff. Wouldn't it suck if you're playing a cash game, a 50-50, and you've got a $10 buy-in, and you come in first place and score 350 points? Wouldn't that fucking suck? Because if you had just spent $1, if you had put that lineup $1 in a larger GPP, you could have won into the thousands. So I'm not a cash game player. I play the single entry GPPs because those are the perfect mix of a cash game and a grand prize pool, because it's everybody's best shot. You can't multi-enter that. You got to put your best lineup in, and it's very hard because most people that play more than one lineup, and it's the hardest thing to do in DFS is to pick your best lineup once you've made quite a few. So this tournament, this lineup, I liked it so much that I entered it twice in the sharpshooter. That's the big DraftKings tournament that paid out, I believe, $20K. And I entered it 4 times in the dollar tournament, the and one. That's where I start the lineups at, in the dollar tournament. If I really like it, then I will graduate it to the larger tournament. And I finished 514th out of 35,000, and I also finished 1,881st out of 127,000 people. That's a pretty good showing. That's a very good showing. I was kind of down on myself because I didn't hit it big, but we're not going to do that every night. We're not going to do that every night. So let's go ahead and jump into last night's slate of games. The first game we're going to talk about is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves going to Oklahoma City, coming off of that loss to Golden State. What we got here was a really poor game from Andrew Wiggins. 26 minutes, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. We had a really great game from Karl Anthony Towns. We talked about him. We were on him when he blew up the first time a couple nights ago, and he had 33 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 block. Zach LaVine, very poor game from him. I'm kind of glad this game wasn't on the DraftKings slate because these are some guys that I liked, and I would have rostered them in this up-tempo, fast-paced game against Russell Westbrook. But, I mean, there's really nothing to talk about with this Minnesota team, with the exception of Karl Anthony Towns. Gorgie Jang didn't even have a great game. He had 4 blocks and 8 points and 8 rebounds, but, I mean, left a lot to be desired from this team. Off the bench, Muhammad had 15 points and 4 rebounds with a block in 21 minutes, but on the Oklahoma City side of the ball, we saw a lot of good scoring. We saw Enes Kanter jump off the bench and have 20 and 10. We saw Westbrook, 28, 6, 8 assists, 3 steals. Still didn't make that value because his price was so high, but we didn't have to worry about that on DraftKings. Sam Adams, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. He filled it up and had a really good game. Sabonis, the rookie, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 block. We also saw Anthony Roberson play 25 minutes and score 9 points with a rebound, and that's like his thing. He's going to score 9 points, grab a couple boards, maybe an assist here or there, but his price always hovers around 4K or less, so he's somebody who we can start here and there every now and again. The next game I'm going to get into really surprised me. This is I'm going to tell you, the reason why I didn't cash heavy today was because I read this game wrong. the Cleveland at Philadelphia game. I read this game completely wrong. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, "No, Cleveland! I want no part of this game. I don't want LeBron. I do." They were like green eggs and ham. I do not like LeBron. I do not like Love. I do not like Kyrie, and they all had excellent games. The game stayed close. Philadelphia was in the game for the duration until the very end, and we saw some awesome performances on the Philadelphia side of the ball, especially from Joel Embiid. This dude is the truth. He is the real fucking deal. Okay, now he went out in 25 minutes because he had that restriction, and he got 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 4 blocks. Awesome game from Joel Embiid. Really great game from him. We saw Gerald Henderson score 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. Rodriguez had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 11 assists with 2 steals. And Okafor in 22 minutes had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. We also saw Ilyasova for 28 minutes, and he got 21 points and 4 rebounds. On the Cleveland side of the ball, LeBron was his usual self, very spectacular, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 14 assists, and 2 steals. I did not think we were going to see this much LeBron, but he had an excellent game. And Kevin Love right next to him with 20 points and 11 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block in 37 minutes. Kyrie Irving, he didn't really have a great game. He had 8 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. And we saw J.R. Smith pick up a little bit of the scoring load with 11 points in 32 minutes. Channing Frye hit a couple threes, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. So Cleveland did end up winning this game, but because I guessed this game wrong, it changed my core. I totally took this game out of consideration for the most part as I was going through my lineup building process today, and that's my bad. That's my bad. And if I let you down because of that, my apology. We're gonna try again tomorrow. Next game we're gonna get into is gonna be the Washington Wizards at the Orlando Magic. Now we knew John Wall was gonna be resting in this game, and we were gonna see the Satoransky guy. He had a fairly decent game for the price point. I mean, he was 3,500, 3.5K. What more can you ask for? He had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. We actually had a good game from Otto Porter, who everybody was trying to avoid like the plague, but he had 10 points and 13 rebounds, which was nice coming from him. We got 18 and 8 with an assist and 2 blocks from Markieff Morris. Gortat grabbed 14 boards to follow up 8 points and 2 assists. We also saw Bradley Beal pick up some of that the offensive load there, had 15 points with 3 assists and 3 rebounds with a steal as well. Off the bench, we got not too much of nothing. Marcus Thornton had 9 points and 4 rebounds. On the Orlando side, this is where not yet. It's not still fake time yet. It's not still fake time. He was close. He was close. But this is not. We saw Nikola Vucevic, man. He was a part of my core 4. If you rostered him, he let you down. I did in a lot of different spots. Wasn't really a good game from him. Got some early foul trouble. But our who dat player of the night, who at scoring all them points over there, player of the night, comes from this game, and it is none other than Jeff Green, man. In 27 minutes, this guy had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal for 31.25 DraftKings points at 3.5K. I did roster him, and if you don't believe me, just watch. I had him in one of the shittiest lineups of the night, right here. Look at him sitting there looking pretty, beautiful. Look at him. Look at Jeff Green sitting there looking beautiful with 31 points, surrounded by trash Satoransky, Malcolm Brogdon. Oh man, just horrible. Matt Barnes. This is a horrible lineup. Horrible lineup. That was the one spot that I used him in, right? And see, that's the danger of having so many multiple lineups, not multiple entries, but multiple lineups. That's the danger that we face with that sometimes. Now, Aaron Gordon, who I was really high on, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Serge Ibaka, didn't see him coming, but he had 11 points and 7 rebounds. Evan Fournier, who I really thought was going to play well. If you can get the gist, I thought Orlando was going to play a really good offensive game. Without John Wall on the floor, I really thought that Orlando was going to have their way with the Washington Wizards, but that was not the case. So moving on to the next game, it's going to be the Denver Nuggets going to Detroit. Now, I was telling you, stack Detroit. I was telling you that all day. I was like, yo, stack Detroit. This is a game stack. And hopefully you went out and you grabbed Andre Drummond, because he grabbed every motherfucking rebound that he could. I'm telling you, this dude is phenomenal. A phenomenal rebounder. In 33 minutes, he had 19 points, 20 rebounds. Now, he had 20 boards. I believe you can go check my Twitter. And guy was like, yo, what do you think? Drummond's gonna do? I was like, 20 boards. Check. I was at a carnival with my wife and my kids. I saw the tweet. What do you think? 20 boards. Check it off. It's a wrap. He's gonna do that. And he went out. He had 19 points, 20 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. An excellent game from him. We saw KCP get involved minimally. Had 13 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 1 steal. John Lure was the play. Now, I got this John Lure play from that's why being in the sweatshop is so important, bro. This guy gives me this lineup to review. He's like, yo, what do you think about this? So I look at the lineup and I like every play, but the one play that stood out to me was Lure. And I remember telling him, man, if you've got the stones to enter that lineup with Lure in it, that could pay off. And I thought about it for a few minutes, and I went back and I put John Lure in the lineup, and that was one of the ones that I had in my single entry GPPs, and I ended up cashing in that. So thank you, shout out to you for saving my night with the John Lure play. He went out and had 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. We saw some time from Baines. Didn't do much. He had like 11 minutes. Didn't really do much at all. Stanley Johnson came off the bench and had 12 points and 1 rebound with a steal. Tobias Harris, a very underwhelming game from him. 9 points and 4 rebounds. Marcus Morris had 15 and 6. So on the Denver side of the ball, I really didn't like Denver bigs very much, because I knew that I just didn't know which one to choose. I didn't know how they were going to do it, because sometimes they were having Fareed and Darrell Arthur on the floor at the same time. Then they would have Jokic and Nurkic on the floor. Then we'd be mixing it up. It was like 4 centers, 4 guys getting rebounds. I just knew there was one guy on the floor who was going to get all of them, and that was Andre Drummond. But Nurkic had a really good game. 10 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 1 block. Danilo Gallinari chipped in with 16 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. We also saw Wilson Chandler. Wilson Chandler may be a thing. It took us a while before we were willing to accept that TJ Warren was a thing. Do we have to wait that long to realize that Wilson Chandler is a thing? Off of the bench, he's a thing, especially with Will Barton out. He had 21 points and 9 rebounds in 31 minutes, and at that low price tag, I believe it was like 4.2K. That's very rosterable. That's rosterable on a nightly basis. The next game I'm going to get into is going to be the Chicago Bulls at the Indiana Pacers. Paul George made you think that he was going to be in the running for the heat check player tonight, but he wasn't. I mean, had a really great start, and the game kind of got out of hand early. Maybe that's why we didn't see him exert so much in the second half, but he did finish with 13 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Thaddeus Young, in 25 minutes, had 5 rebounds to go with 12 points and 1 assist with a block and a steal. Monte Ellis had 2 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. We saw a pretty good game from Jeff Teague. He had 21 points, 1 rebound, 6 assists, and 1 steal. But off the bench, CJ Miles, who I was trying to put people on him. He's a real deal. He's something. As long as Rodney Stuckey is gone and he's the first cat to jump off of the bench, he's gonna have these shooting nights. And he had 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. On the other side of the ball, Chicago, Jimmy Butler, man, he's not playing well. He's just not playing well lately. Now, this is a guy. Last year, I believe there's one night I watched him. He had 71 DraftKings points. He was like an easy. He would never double, but he would always 24, 6, and 8, 23, 7, and 5. Like, he was all of the stat categories. He was able to get a tick in them, and he just hasn't been that player this year, Taj Gibson, grabbed 12 boards to go at 9 points, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. We saw Robin Lopez play 27 minutes and have 12 points and 7 rebounds with 2 blocks. And we got nothing else from anybody else on the roster except for Doug McDermott on the bench. He had 12 points, 4 rebounds, and Bobby Portis did have some good time in scrub love. He had 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist in 18 minutes. The next game we're going to get into is going to be the Houston Rockets losing at the Atlanta Hawks. What's up with Dwight Howard beating up on all those old teams, man? This dude he likes playing again. He's in Atlanta. He's home. This is where he went to school. This is where he grew up at, and he likes to play here, and he's playing well. So to start off on the Houston side, Trevor Ariza had 10 points in 31 minutes with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Of course, the heat check player tonight, James Harden, he had 30 points, 9 rebounds, 12 assists, and 3 steals. Very good game from James Harden. Fell just 1 shy of that triple-double. Would have helped me out a lot, got me a little bit more. But we're going to keep on rostering him. KJ McDaniels, 13 and 2 off of the bench. Eric Gordon, man. Eric, what a bitch. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Damn. Eric Gordon, man. Horrible game from him, man. In the first half, he had 1.5 DraftKings points. So he had a pretty good second half, which was able to get him off of the list for the Snowflake of the night. Nene, 2 points and 5 rebounds. Not much, left a lot to be desired. We saw 12 and 10 from Clint Capella. And a lot of you guys were sharp enough to roster him. I didn't like him as much in this game because I knew Dwight Howard was going to be having like a big presence. But he had 12 points and 10 boards, so good game for him, man. In this game, on the other side of the ball, Bazemore was the play. Bazemore went nuts. 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals for Bazemore. Very good game from Paul Millsap. 23 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals. He can do it all. Millsap can do it all. Under the right circumstances, he is a top-flight fantasy play, but he never sees that salary that, you know, your LeBrons or your Paul Georges or, you know, the Westbrooks, those guys. He never sees that salary. So he's somebody that you can keep an eye on from night to night. Kyle Korver had 10 points and 3 boards with 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Dennis Schroeder, part of the core 4, one of the hits on the core 4. He had 17 points in 32 minutes to go with 3 rebounds, 12 assists. Really good game from him. We saw Muscala for about 20 minutes, and he had 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. And Thabo Sefolosha made a couple of really good defensive plays to kind of break Houston's back early in the game. And he had 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, and a block. On to the next game is going to be the Sacramento Kings at the Milwaukee Bucks. And who are the Bucks? Think they are blowing people out. Oh, they must have been playing the Kings. And this game is where that one motherfucker. Now, in this dude's case, coming in at over 10,000, 20% of your salary. If you rostered this dude tonight, you wasted 20% of your salary on somebody that went out there and scored 25 DraftKings points. And that's why DeMarcus Cousins is tonight's snowflake of the night. What he did in 27 minutes was go out and score 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal with 2 blocks. Horrible game from DeMarcus Cousins, but we got to forget about that, put it behind us, because we're going to be able to use him going forward. But tonight, if I can't get in the 300 club, bitch, you a snowflake. You the snowflake of the night tonight, DeMarcus Cousins. Next is going to be the value play that opened up. We're talking about Omri Caspi in 23 minutes starting for Rudy Gay, because we know Rudy Gay was out. He had 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. Kufis, 4 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist. And Garrett Temple ended up having 19 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists with 3 steals. Now, on the Milwaukee side of the ball, Giannis Antetokounmpo was definitely on the triple-double watch. He had a really great game until the game got so out of hand that we didn't see very much of him after that. He had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals, and a block. he was on his way to becoming a heat check player tonight. But in the blowout situation, one guy was getting blowed out, Harden, and stayed on the floor. The other guy, Giannis, was doing the blowing out and ended up not playing the entirety of the game. Jabari Parker had an excellent game. He was a part of my FanDuel core four that I talked about. He had 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists with 4 steals and a block. We saw Matthew Dellavedova for 21 minutes. He had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. And Mirza, who I showed you last night, but I didn't have the stones to give it a go today. See, a lot of times you're on the right track. And I was on the right track, but it was the wrong night. And Mirza went out and had 22 points, 1 assist, and 1 block, but he hit 3 3-pointers. And we know that's good for the bonus on DraftKings as well as FanDuel. Malcolm Brogdon kind of suckered us in with the last couple of performances where he got upwards of 20 minutes and scored 20 DraftKings points. Tonight, he sucked. He had 3 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists for him. And the next game and final game of the night that we're going to be getting into is going to be the LA Clippers going to San Antonio to take on the Spurs. I completely faded this game from top to bottom. I just didn't like it. I said there's going to be 2 scenarios. And I was wrong. I called this game wrong too. I was like, there's going to be 2 scenarios. Either it's going to be close, the Clippers are going to keep it close, or San Antonio's going to blow them out. And the exact opposite happened. The Clippers blew the doors off of the San Antonio Spurs. We didn't see much from anybody. We had Kawhi Leonard, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. LaMarcus Aldridge had a pretty good game in 25 minutes, 19 points, and 6 rebounds. Paul Gasol had 11 and 4 with an assist, and not very much else. We had some scrub love going down the line, but it doesn't make sense to get too much into San Antonio scrub love because you never know where it's going to come from. You might get popped. So moving on to the Clippers side. Now, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul were on their way to having really good games. If they had been given the full 4 quarters of playing time, man, they would have went super hard. So, baby, come here. Baby, I'm doing my show, okay? Go in the room and I'll talk to you later. Okay? You want to say hi to the people? Yes. Want to say hi to the people? Okay. Okay. Carson, tell everybody hi. Hi. What you say? Okay. Now go in the room and I'm coming in as soon as I finish. Let me show you. Okay. I love you. Daddy girls. Alright. Now, Luke Mbah-a-Moute had 13 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Blake Griffin, 28, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. We saw Chris Paul. He was on a triple-double watch. 9 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals. Jamal Crawford did all of the late dirty work. 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And we also saw 14 points and 2 rebounds with 1 assist and 2 steals from J.J. Redick. Now, the coach's son, 6, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. From him. Now, moving on to today's 6-game slate. What we're going to do, I want to look at the DraftKings site because when slates are like this, they get kind of funky. And like we've got 4 games on a 6 p.m. main slate. We've got 2 games at 12 p.m. It's going to be the early slate, and we know NFL's going on tomorrow, so it's going to be a lot to take in. Also, I want to take it to the Millie Maker. Somebody send me some lineup advice for NFL lineups. All right, and we got the two more games at 3:30, and we've got the late games. That's going to be 3 games at 7. But all of this is jam-packed into just 6 games. So let's hurry up, quickly roll through them. The first game we're going to talk about is going to be the Utah Jazz going to the New York Knicks. My New York Knicks, and the Jazz are giving us 1 point at home. Now, it's a 195 total. You know, I would say fade this game, stay away from this game, but the slate's so small, there's kind of no way. Now, and there's 2 ways to attack these small slates. Either we can stack a team. I've seen teams win these small slates with like 4 players on the same team. Either we can stack whatever we feel like is going to be the most high-scoring, electric, fast-paced game, or we can like cherry pick plays from each one. Now I'm gonna go with both. I'm gonna have some lineups where I just stack whatever offense I feel like is gonna go off, and I'm gonna have a couple lineups where I go with my core 4 and my whole process. So in this game, The Knicks are not a bad rebounding team. We're not a bad rebounding team. Now, on the Utah side of the ball, they are a very good rebounding team. So the first place I'm going in this game, and I know we don't shoot the ball well, I'm going to Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is definitely going to be in some of my lineups tomorrow. This low point total doesn't always mean that teams are not going to score a lot of points per se, but it means that teams are going to miss a lot of shots, therefore not score a lot of points. So I like Rudy Gobert in this game. If Derek Favors wants to have a really good game, he can do it against the Knicks. He can. Now at his price, he may be somebody to take a shot on. Our perimeter defense against backcourts is not very good. So George Hill is definitely in play in this game, as well as Shelvin Mack for the cheap, because we know that it's taking Dante Exum a little while. It's going to take him a little while to get off of that bench and be the bona fide six-man or backup point guard to George Hill. So for the cheap, you might want to look at Shelvin Mack, because this game could get out of hand. It definitely could, and you're going to see a lot of scrub love, and Shelvin Mack is going to be the one running the point, distributing late in the game. New York side of the ball, if I had to roster a player from the New York side of the ball, it would be Porzingis, because he can step outside and shoot that deep jump shot, which would bring Gobert, bring Favors out of the lane, where it makes them most uncomfortable. Those guys are more comfortable on the block, and we do have that big, because he's supposed to be a center, but he can just shoot the ball, and he's not big and strong and chiseled yet, so he does play around and shoot a lot of jumpers on the outside. So I can say I do like Porzingis in this game. If I had to like somebody from the Knicks side, it'd be Porzingis. Next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Portland Trailblazers going to Memphis, going to the grindhouse. You know how I feel when teams go to the grindhouse. I'm very hard on point guards in the grindhouse, even though Dame Lillard is probably my favorite player in the league. I mean, I love the way the guy plays, but unfortunately, against Mike Conley and Tony Allen is back, I do not like Damian Lillard in this game at the grindhouse with a 203 total, with Memphis getting 1.5 points. That's not where I would attack this game. I would attack this game on the perimeter. If I want to attack the Memphis, I would attack them in the blocks, because yeah, Gasol's a good center, but he's soft. He's a big soft guy, and he's not very fast, and he's not very agile. And that's the one thing that Mason Plumlee is. Mason Plumlee is fast for a big guy. He's quite agile. He can pass the ball, and he's going to be cheap. So he's a guy that I would target if I wanted to attack the Memphis team in some way. If I wanted to attack, listen, baby, I'll get you some. Okay, let me finish. All right. Now, she wants to get me worms. All right, so now on the Memphis side, Portland plays such a quick pace, and Dame Lillard is not a very great defender. He's just not. He's just not a really great defender. So I would definitely, I like Mike Conley in this game. I also like Zach Randolph to come off the bench. This is a revenge game for him. Remember, he played with Portland. That's been an ongoing narrative this year. These guys that are going and playing their old teams, they're playing very well, and they're scoring points, and they're playing well. So I would definitely take a shot on Zach Randolph, Zebo at that low price. The next game we're going to be getting into is going to be the Sacramento Kings at the Toronto Raptors. Fire them up. Just do it. I don't care. Just do it. Lowry DeRozan. Put him in your lineup. They're money. A total had not come out on this game yet, because I believe it's a West Coast game. It's going to be late, maybe. No, it's not a West Coast game. It's a Canada game or whatever at Toronto. So I guess the total didn't come out yet, but you can fire up Lowry and DeRozan. Just keep it moving. You're fine. Now, Boogie in the bounce-back game, I don't know. It's a back-to-back, so I don't know if he's going to bounce back. I don't like any perimeter players. We're going to have to check to see what's going on. Maybe that's why the total hasn't come out yet, because we don't know what's going on with Rudy Gay yet. We got to check throughout the day, in between your football games, in between your DraftKings on football, your FanDuel on football. You want to be on the lookout for if Sacramento's going to be full strength. They're going to have all their guys playing. But I know for a fact you can fire up Lowry and DeRozan. I'll be having that combination in a lot of my lineups. The next game is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks on a back-to-back, going to Dallas, taking on the Mavericks. Now, we know we're not going to see Dirk Nowitzki. This is a 198 point total with Dallas giving up 2.5 to Milwaukee. Giannis, this is all day long. I like Giannis. I even like Jabari Parker in this game. I like Giannis and Jabari Parker. I even like a little Greg Monroe. Greg Monroe doesn't sound bad in this game as well. Dallas, they got to be hot shooting. They have to be shooting hot in order to win games. But they do play at a high enough pace to where you can get enough shots and get enough rebounds for your bigs if you want to attack them down on the block. But on the Dallas side, I like David Lee. I like David Lee with Dirk Nowitzki out. I think David Lee is going to be a good play in this game. Of course, you're going to have the J.J. Barea value. You're going to have Wesley Matthews, who I do not like. He's going to be seeing a little Giannis defense. I don't like him at all. You may even see Powell come in off the bench. He's probably going to be the first big off of the bench. So he's somebody that you definitely can look to if I had to target somebody on the Dallas side. The next game is going to be the Denver Nuggets going to the Boston Celtics. This is probably going to be the most heavily targeted game on the slate. I would think it's going to be because you've got that. Well, no, we'll get to that. And I say that because I love to stack Boston. Stacking Boston is always look at this little mouse. She done climbed up on the and stole the candy.
See? I got 2. And I got 1.
Girl, get in that bed. Badass child. Climbed up on the counter and stole the gummy candies out the Lord. Now, back to Boston. It's 211 point total. And hey, this is real life. This is real life. I have kids. I'm a dad. What do you want me to do? Edit it? I'm sorry. I'm not going to edit it. These are my children. This is my house. She wants the gummy worms. She climbed up. She stole them. What do you want me to do? Back to Boston. All right. So 211 point total with Boston giving up 8.5 points to the Denver Nuggets. We know that the Boston Celtics are the worst at rebounding, but they're one of the better teams at shooting field goal percentage. They probably are like top 5 in field goal percentage, but they suck at rebounding. So it kind of makes up the difference. They don't miss enough shots. So when you do get whatever rebounds, we make enough shots. It's cool. That's why I like Denver bigs in this game, and I'm gonna pick one tomorrow. I don't know who it is tonight, but I'm going to pick one tomorrow, and that's what I'm going to go with. So I think the way to attack Boston is not to get a perimeter player. It's not to get Moutier. No. It's not to get Wilson Chandler. No. It's not to get, Barton when he comes back. It's not to get any of those guys. The way to attack Boston is they're really good on the perimeter, especially Avery Bradley. The way to attack this game is to the bigs. Just grab a big, whatever big you like. Initially, I like Jokic because he has the most upside out of Nurkic, Jokic, Fareed, and Arthur. Jokic to me has the most upside. He can go crazy. I think I'm gonna take him. I think I'm gonna take him tomorrow in this game. He may be a part of the core 4. Stay tuned. On the Boston side, I love Avery Bradley, and I really like Isaiah. And basic, on the outset lineup construction, I'm thinking is I go Lowry, DeRozan, Isaiah, Bradley, and then just fill in the rest wherever I can. Maybe some Jokic, maybe a little Porzingis in there, maybe some favors for the cheap if I have to, Gobert, stuff like that. That's going to be the way that I attack this slate, and half of my lineups, the other half going to be straight stacks. The last game, and this is the game that everybody's going to want to have a piece of, is going to be the Phoenix Suns going to LA to play the Lakers. This is the highest point total on the slate. It is also the late night hammer. Get you one, please. Do not go into the last game with nobody to go, and you need, you know, you got to hold off people from scoring, and they're going to run you down. So grab you a late night hammer. I made that mistake of not having one a few nights ago, and it totally cost me. I had one the other night on my FanDuel lineup, D'Angelo Russell, and it took me from 26th all the way up to 2nd in the GPP, where we had that really good showing. So get you a late night hammer. I love this game. There's so much good stuff in this game. I mean, if Boston wasn't on the table, if there was no if the Boston game and the Toronto Sacramento game weren't on this slate, if you put any two other NBA teams in for the Boston game and the Toronto game, and I think that you could straight stack this Phoenix LA game and win. I think you could take down the GPP by just stacking this Phoenix and Los Angeles Lakers game, because there's going to be so many rebounds, so many turnovers, which are steals, so many points, so many three-pointers are going to be in this game. So many assists are going to be a part of this game. This is going to be a really, really good fantasy output, I believe. And I can tell you just about anybody is in play. So I'm going to tell you who I ain't going to play. And that means whoever I don't mention are in play out of the starters. Okay? I don't like Alex Lynn in this game. I only say Alex Lynn in this game. And I'm somebody who really loves to roster Alex Lynn because he's cheaper than Tyson Chandler. But wait a minute now. Let's not forget about how active Julius Randle is in the post. And he's really good at getting that second foul in the first quarter. I believe he's one of the league leaders in fouls called against him in the first quarter. He averages like 1.2 fouls every first quarter against him. So, and I see that's a stat, you didn't know about that. But so let's just hold off on not taking Lynn, because that's something that can happen. So let's just hold off on that. But I like Devin Booker in this game. You're gonna see a battle for the young guys. These are gonna be the up and coming teams. TJ Warren is a young guy you're really gonna like to roster tomorrow. Of course, D'Angelo Russell is a young guy you're gonna like to roster. Randall, Larry Nance Jr. is gonna be in play. The Bledsoe is gonna be in there. You're gonna see a little Brandon Knight off of the bench. This is gonna be a really good game, a really fun game, I think, and a great way to close out this 6-game slate. Because you can watch this with your late nights, your Sunday night game. So in this show, we talked about lineup construction, roster building, my 4-core system. We talked about the slate from last night going into tonight's slate. We know NFL's tomorrow. I hope you guys do really well in your daily fantasy NFL stuff. My kids stole some candy at 12 o'clock at night. So it's been a really wonderful show. I want to thank you all again for your support. We are now approaching 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I cannot tell you how important and impressive that is to me, that just in a short time, because I started doing these videos, I was doing NBA preseason videos, man, with like 10 people, 10 folks listening to me. And now, like, we've got this vast network, and not just on YouTube, but we've transferred it over to Twitter. And if you come over to Twitter tomorrow, you're going to see my core 4, right? So just thank you. Big thanks to everybody. You have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy your football and your family. And I'm out. Let's get this money.